Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Eddie Jennings from ejsllc.com. This video is another in my practice session series for the Red Hat EX374 exam, Red Hat Certified Specialist in Developing Automation with Ansible Automation Platform. Before I dive in, I want to thank returning subscribers for watching another video, as well as invite anyone who's watching, if you haven't subscribed yet, to click the subscribe button and ring the bell when you do. Also, I want to remind you that this is a practice session, and the goal of this video is I will talk about whatever objectives are at play, maybe try to do some examples of the objective, and do a self-assessment throughout the video and at the end. And if I feel confident on the objective, great, I'm probably ready for my exam if I have tasks on the exam about that objective. And if not, I have just under 2 weeks to do some more preparation or brushing up to fill in some skill gaps prior to the exam. I do try to have the information accurate, as you know, I'm learning about these concepts and I want to learn accurate information for my exam, but these practice sessions should not be considered tutorials, nor should they be considered training materials. After all, I am learning the items as we go along as well. So continuing on with the transform data with filters and plugin sections, we're going to look at the use lookup and query functions to incorporate data from external sources into playbooks and deployed template files. So as I think I mentioned in a previous video, these 4 objectives in this area are relatively weak for me because I don't use a lot of them in my day-to-day action. So a lot of this section was really kind of learning from scratch for me, but I think there are a couple of things I will be able to demonstrate in this practice session, which I think shows that I have kind of the foundational understanding about these things to potentially do exam tasks, or at the very least know how to look up some things should I need to do that on the fly. There's one particular lookup that I'm going to use for this. Is actually a lookup for templates. Again, these aren't things I use a whole lot in what I have to do day to day with Ansible, so I'm not 100% sure of truly the value of this particular lookup. I'm sure there is value to it, and I'm sure if you're watching this and you're a master of Ansible, you probably use this lookup all the time and would love to tell me about the value of it versus just using the template module. But let's take a look at the documentation for this particular plugin. And it's Ansible Navigator, doc t lookup. This is built-in template. So you pass this lookup filter a template file, and it basically gives you what would be in that template for you to then use with however you want to do, or whatever you want to do with your template. Again, I haven't really seen the value of this outside of just using the template module and making the file that you need. Like I've always used the template module for creating files, like creating a configuration file and such. But let's see if we can find maybe find a use case for this, or create one for practicing using the module. So let me write a template file. So we'll just call it foo.j2. Didn't like foo here. We'll start with some comments. Thus beginneth, I guess how begins the template. Hi, my name is, and we'll set this to be Ansible Fax host name. My distribution is, is it distribution? I am from the Ansible Fax OS family. My major version is Versino. It's a common misspelling for me when I'm typing. We'll do distribution major version. All right, so this should be a valid template. Let me make a template.j2 file real quick, and we will simply template that out. Ansible built-in template. Source is going to be foo.j2. I'm going to get into the habit of using my Ansible Navigator run. Okay, so this should, famous last words in IT, right? Should work. And we can cat temp foo. All right, so this did what I wanted. So my distribution is Red Hat. I'm from the Red Hat family. Major versions 8. All right, so that's a valid template that I have. So let's go back to, let me read this. So we want to use lookup query functions to incorporate data from external sources to playbooks and deploy template files. That deployed template files is what kind of clues me into they're looking to use the template lookup for this. So we'll go back to our good old foo.yml, and we're going to change this to Ansible built-in template, and we are going to use foo.j2. Let's see what happens. All right, so we were able to that's actually kind of an interesting thing. So this is running against localhost, right? And notice what it gave us for host name. It gives the name of the container, which makes sense because I'm using the execution environment. But yeah, this gives us everything that is in the template as a giant string that has our line breaks and that kind of stuff. I do want to do this EE false, so this should give us the host name that we expect, because telling it to not use the execution environment. I do want to change this. Let's talk about queries as well. Yeah, to queries. And let's see what happens when I do change this to a query. I'm going to change this out of localhost and just technically have it run against AAP node 1. I don't know if there is a query for Ansible built-in template, but we're about to find out. Yeah, I guess so. And so that gives us a list. This is actually considered a list for that. And so it ran the template using the facts from the node. So great, we have that data. I'm still not 100% sure of the value of doing that, like why you would necessarily need that. Because let's say I wanted to make that file, I would just use the module, not the lookup. So I'm kind of racking my brain thinking deploy template into playbooks and deployed template files. I mean, it's incorporating it's kind of a useless thing, but it's incorporating the data. I'm thinking that I could have a file that is basically a YAML file with variables and do like the dictionary lookup, but why not just define your variable like that? So this is one I'm not going to consider myself a pass on, just because I clearly need to try to dig into some of the Red Hat documentation to try to figure out exactly the use case they're trying to think of, or rather the use case they're wanting me to think of, to where this would be a useful thing. I mean, you have the template lookup in the query, and it reads a template file. I'm sure there are other lookups and queries. I know in the previous video I used file glob, and that could be something that you could loop through. I could, for the next video that I'll do about loops, there is some stuff with lookups that would be quite useful with that. But as far as this one, I'm not 100% sure exactly what Red Hat's wanting. So not a pass, but still got 2 weeks. Gives me plenty of time to look it up and see what I can come up with. So if you found the video useful at all, make sure you do click like. Again, I want to thank returning subscribers for watching another video, as well as invite anyone who's watching, if you haven't subscribed yet, to click the subscribe button and ring the bell when you do. Thank you for taking the time to watch, and I'll see you the next time.